So we're in the situation, we're in our healing journey, we're in recovery. What can we do as parents to mitigate, lessen some of the impacts that people in your book are talking about as adults? What can we do right now actively? Do you have
Yeah.
any suggestions
I
for that?
think, I think one of the biggest, there are a few things. The biggest thing is that it's helpful for people to understand that children growing up in this type of a system have the most similar experience to a partner, and because it's betrayal trauma, and it's really developmental betrayal trauma. They've got a D-Day. However, they discovered something. Their world is turned upside down. Um, and they don't, one of the people or both of the people, because the partner that's been betrayed, their world is turned upside down. It's impacting their parenting, their ability to be present and attuned to the child or children. And then the betrayer or the addict, whatever way you want to talk about it, is, has been absent, or checked out, or medicating in the ways that they have. So it's important that it's so important for both partner and betrayer to do their own family of origin work, and release their own carried shame, and then start really learning how to have a mature relationship with yourself, and do parts work, and learn how to regulate yourself, because trust has been broken. And so it really, what I've seen, and this, it doesn't only happen with families with sex addiction. It's just that betrayal creates abandonment, it creates neglect, it's abusive, as well as abandonment, abuse, neglect, and enmeshment. And all of those are betrayal for children. So, and again, I don't think most parents are not waking up saying, hey, I think I want to, neglect my child today, or I think I want to abandon my kid today. Um, and unknowingly, because you're in the process, and because the process takes at least 3 to 5 years, and I think it takes up to 10 years for people to get into a solid recovery, your children are going to be growing. And so, as much, getting safety, what is safety? Restoring safety for children, learning to get comfortable with emotion, for yourself. And the hard part is that whether couples are staying together or not, that you're still parenting, and you're going to make mistakes. And I think it also, what it leads to, and this is probably from my own recovery, I know the difference. I watched my dad get sober from his alcoholism. We went to 5 family weeks in 2.5 years, with 5 of us going into treatment for codependence and then his alcoholism. And I know what I learned. And I needed the same thing with sex addiction. I absolutely needed to be able, I needed education on it. I needed to be able, in a safe way, to do list work with him, as well as my mom. Because I don't think a lot of betrayed partners, I think they're going to be upset with this, that, hey, I didn't do anything.
Hmm.
And you do, because in my generation, and I think maybe Ken's, so many women didn't have a place to go if it's like a man as the addict and the female. And that, if my mom would have divorced my dad at that time, she would have been left with nothing and 3 children, because of the court systems. That's changed in some states. And uh, her choosing to stay betrayed herself, and then it betrayed the 3 of us, and it showed up in the 3 of us in our relationships. And I know the difference. And my dad never acknowledged that addiction. He never acknowledged his sex addiction, his infidelity, and his behavior didn't change. And it was all about the shame-based stuff. The rage was worse than ever, the untreated aspects of it. And it's going to show up in your kids' lives.